Hey, how you doing? Once upon a time called now. Today, it's Dr. Prodigal enjoying the wonderfulness of God. I can just make up new words. It's ironic how we want to give God just like one word, but we want to use Jehovah. But Jehovah was always meant to have some type of description beside it. So, Jehovah Nisi, Jehovah Rapha, everything. So, even my time today, sometimes Jehovah turn it around because we've gotten into some stuff that we just need turned around. So, Jehovah, turn it around. But today, I want to really touch on something. I've been quiet for a bit, a lot of meditation, consecration, and reflection. I'm reflecting upon my brother who transitioned to be with the Lord about 5 years ago. We have a lot of things in families that are interesting, but yet God is still in control with it. So I can, reflect on the first time that I met him, the times, during that initial time that they were with us, that I kind of got to know him, but I really got to know him in adult years and adult ages. My brother, people had a lot of different descriptions for him, and probably most of them could be right if they weren't right. But this was a transition in my faith. Why? Because as I was raised in certain circles, very judgmental on people, like such as spirituality. People say, oh, if you're not talking about Jesus and the Holy Spirit, you ain't spiritual. Well, no, there are other spirits. It doesn't say that they agree with you. And where your focus on worship is, or your focus on, provision is. I choose, and I always will, Jesus Christ. It's just like a no-brainer for me, not only historical, but also spiritual. Facts, truth that have come out about it. But as I return to my brother, we had an awakening. I'll say he did as well as I did. I always would call him. I give him his call. We didn't run in the same circle, so it wasn't like we had a whole lot to talk about. But we did communicate. And I remember when he told me that his exact words was, "I got the big C." I said, "Well, what's that?" Because I didn't realize what he was saying at the time. And he said, "Cancer." Okay, so we have to be careful on how we pursue things with people as they're speaking to us. So, I didn't push it. I allowed him to tell me what was going on. And what it was, I'm thinking, I think he neglected it for so long until there was, nothing more that could be done at the time. But during that time, I just kept praying to the Lord. Okay, this is my other quote unquote sibling that has lived a questionable life on a lot of stuff. And, what do I do? And all I heard was the same as you did with your sister: pray, love, witness. Don't beat them in the head. Show my love. And I would. So long story short, there was a time, that I told him, I said, I'm coming down to see you. And, he expressed that he was glad for whatever reasons at that time. And he asked me to bring him something down that was questionable from church people. Now, mind you, this is a time that really shaped a lot of what I'm going to tell you now and upset some people, most likely. And I don't care really at this point, because we have to stop living this, like, Zoom airtight existence of the church, and never were we to be there like that. As a matter of fact, I do have a book, The Community of We're supposed to be in the community to bring salt and light within that community wherever God places us. But the situation that went on with this was that he said, well, can you bring me a carton of cigarettes? I was like, huh? He said, well, how much a cigarette's there, and I said, I worked in the commissary at the time. I was like, I'm thinking maybe a carton, maybe about $80 or something. It's anyway, I don't even remember what it was, but I know they were up there. Oh, they was up there. I don't smoke. So I said, okay. He said, if you bring that to me, I can make, it was $80, because he said I can make $120 off of that profit. I said, doing what? He said, well, I sell single cigarettes. And I said, okay, selling Lucy's, that's pretty much kind of illegal in the sense. Don't know about the area he was in, whether it was illegal. Oh, this is just wonderful. I'm watching the sun just have different hues today. I love it. So I kept praying about it, and in the multitude of counselors, there's wisdom in the multitude of counselors. So I asked people. I asked one pastor. I still esteem him highly, but I asked him to answer me from the position of his existence, and that was discipleship, rigid, and I'm trying to think of some of the words that were used. Pretty much it said, he was saying your Christian witness would be attacked if you did provide something for him. Now, everything's put on the earth was good. I'm not making a justification for anybody smoking, buying cigarettes, whatever you want. No. I do know that it was something with that cigarette that wasn't the cigarette that he wanted, and it wasn't the money. And I just kept praying. I asked another gentleman, and he was saying, well, you have to show them your core values and disciple them. And I said, with all due respect, it's not like he has 6 months to finish a discipleship course. But it was like, well, no, you can't do anything to that, and, you just got to stand firm. This man's dying. And, for some reason, I was sensing that he was in a lot of physical pain. Well, he already would be in this little scooter. We used to tease him about his scooter. He kept that thing going. He even got a new one. The old one was still running strong, but they gave him a new one, too, and he was pulling wheelies in that one. But, I said, this is where this gentleman is at. I can't hold that against him. Because I've been there at one time so rigid on some things, and it caused a crisis in my faith, which was the best thing that happened to me. That was with my other sister. With things that had happened, and they were saying, oh no, she lost, and this and this and this, and I said, yeah. So my life and my family has pretty much been a challenge to my faith, and I'll be very honest with it. A lot of what I was told or made to believe, it's not true. And now this is another crisis of faith 5 years ago, but it's been wonderful. So I am reminiscing on that now and how it went. Long story short, I asked another brother, and he said, I wouldn't see nothing wrong with doing it. I said, well, and I was very honest. I said, I don't think I'm going to bring him a carton of cigarettes because I don't know how long he has to live in that situation. So I talked with another brother, and he said, well, I don't see nothing wrong with that. You're being compassionate, and he knew I was military too. Something like that on the military, say on the battlefield, something like that went down, there wouldn't have been no question on what I would have done. Here, take a cigarette. Hey, yo, Jones needs a cigarette. Give me a cigarette. Okay, hold on. We're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right, even if I know the person wasn't gonna make it. And the last brother I asked, he said, no. He said, you're going to upset church people if you do it, because a lot of them are not going to think of compassion. And, people going to run their mouth. He said, so what you do, if he was going to make $12 off an $8 pack of cigarettes, give him the $12. And whatever he does with that $12, that's on him. That was the process he would make. I said, that's the most logical answer. Well, I wouldn't cause another brother in church, because you can have people that have been in church 45 years and they can stumble off of a decision that you're making. So I made up my mind to do that. And I drove there, 2-hour drive, praying the whole way, worshiping, because I didn't know what to expect, but I knew I was going to learn something. I pull up, don't see a parking space. Lord, I have an issue today. I need a closer parking space. Car pulls right out. I said, okay, thank you, Lord. So I go in and I go to his room, and I said, well, where is he? He said, well, he's out in the courtyard. So come back down. I go to the courtyard. He's out in the scooter. And there were a couple of people that were looking for him. So, of course, he had his little single cigarettes. He did his little hustle. And I'm thinking to myself, my brother's always been a hustler. Here he is in the hospice hustling. But I didn't say anything, because we can be so judgmental without hearing it through, or finding out all aspects of what's going on. So I said, okay, let me see. He said, hey, he was glad to see me. We were sitting down, we were talking. Before I could give him the $12, he said, hey, come on. And he's like, he pulled a wheelie on that scooter, and I'm trying to catch up with him because I was limping that day. I'm limping. I said, where you going? He gets into the snack truck, and he reaches in the sock. He pulls out $40. And he's like buying all these snacks up. And I said, bro, are they feeding you here? What's going on? He said, no, 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 no. He said, later on, some people can't get to the snack cart. So that's where I come in. I said, well, what do you want? He said, they come see me after. He said, it keeps my mind going. It keeps me, my mind active with a hustle. I was like, wow. So he said, come on. And he got the basket on the cart was full of snacks. I wanted to get one myself too. He gets up, he puts them in like the second drawer in his dresser, and he has a lock on it. He locks it up. I said, okay, that's his stash drawer. So then he gets another one. And he pulls this key up. I gave him a dog tag chain to put his dog tag on. He was in the military, and he had found I was learning so much about him at a late stage in life. But I also gave him a cross that he asked me for, so I gave it to him. It's like a stainless steel cross or something that was on that chain. He said, go in there and get this little safety deposit box. He said, give me 2 20s out of there. I looked in there, he had a knot in there of 20s, 50s, and 100s that would probably choke a horse. And I'm thinking, like, I know this ain't the cigarette money you making, because this is awful lucrative. So, and again, he told me, he said, I keep a hustle going, not because I'm trying to get over. He said, I really don't make anything on this, but it keeps my mind going and I get to help people. Now, as quiet as it's kept, I've always known my brother to help people. It's just the people he helped that people didn't want to talk to. So they didn't say anything. He said, come on, we can go back outside. So we're going back out. I said, what do you need all that money in it for? He said, just in case my baby girl comes down to the youngest daughter. Now, my brother had 33 known kids, 31 still living that I knew of. And the baby girl, she's a beautiful little something. I remember when she was in her diaper running around and, just being sweet. And that's a gorgeous woman. I said, okay. So he started talking to me. He said, I told my baby girl, he was talking about his daughter. I call her Wang. Anybody know, you're going to know who I'm talking about. And he said, this is how I want my funeral to go. I said, okay. I said, well, what are you saying? He said, I want you to do that thing. And I said, what? He said, the eulogy. I said, okay. I said, so eulogy means speak well of you. I said, I can speak well of you, right? He said, yeah, you probably can speak not well. Yeah, we laughing. I said, I could, but it's to speak well of you. And he started saying, let not my heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. And my Father's house there are many men. Now, the shock was, to me, he was quoting the Bible. Never heard him quote the Bible. He was over 70 then. Never. I said, where'd you get that from, bro? He said, well, that's what, because we're half brothers. He said, well, that's what they had at my mother's funeral. He said, and I found it was so beautiful that I went to look for it. He said, you know what it said? I said, 14th chapter of John. He said, yeah. He said, I was reading it, and he said, many mansions. And he said, talk to me about it like you used to do when I lived in the other place. Because he was in a place, he would take me around and, sit down. And next thing I know, I'm going down for a quick visit of an hour or so, and I'm there 3 hours later. And he's brought everybody around. There's a Bible study going. So, oh my gosh, almost getting emotional thinking about that. Again, this was a transition point for my life, my faith, my walk. These were people that, for the most part, church people didn't want to be with. Unless there was one church, times I would go down on a Sunday, sometimes Sunday afternoon, nothing to do, just drive. They would make sure that they were there. They'd sing their 3 or 4 songs. They'd hand out some potato chips, and they'd leave. I'm a stickler on relationships. So they showed up and they just did a cursory act and left. I can't say a whole lot because Jesus went to a place, healed one person and left. So, but I just found that interesting. But as soon as I would show up, he would go and get everybody. And he'd bring them through, and he said, it's my brother. And he was just, I had so much praise from him, for things that I just thought it's normal for me to do. But he felt that there was something else. And he always would say, yeah, he'll talk to us. He'll talk to us. He'll tell us what's up. Never really understood that until his memorial. And then I did understand it fully. As I said, and I'll continue to say, this was one of the most major transitions in my faith life. These are the people nobody want to talk to. These are the people, Christians, let's call it out, turn their nose up on. And yet these are the people that Jesus died for, just like you and me. We went through the passage, and I explained to him that even though people use it as a funeral, and he was actually speaking of Jesus when he was returning. And, and I spoke to him about, the bride and the bridegroom and, betrothal and things. And he was like, wow. So he said, in other words, don't trip, the spot's set up. I said, yeah, I guess you could say it like that. If that's the way he's going to understand it, then let me tell it to him like that. I said, yeah, don't trip, the spot's set up. Every conversation we had after that, he would say, don't trip, the spot's set up. Now, he would ask that same question again, why didn't they ever come talk to us? And he's speaking of Christians. As I was delivering the eulogy, and the eulogy was no more than 15 minutes. No more than 15, 16 minutes. We don't want to drag out something. As I spoke that, and I said that question again, it was like a huge flash, a vision, that all of these people in that elderly, quote, disabled housing, high-rise, they didn't have a lot, but they were hungry for whatever God had. I'm not saying that they would have turned out to be the next Jesse Duplantis or, Joel Osteen. No, but that little bit, they loved it. That's what changed my outset of ministry. We concentrate so much on inside until we actually keep people out. This was an eye-opener for me. The second one in my family. Actually, the third death, but the second one in my family that opened my eyes. And we're doing this thing called love wrong. We'll love you as long as you conform to what we think. You come to our place. You acknowledge our customs, our traditions. Then we'll love you. But these were people that came from backgrounds of drug addiction, hustler. I mean, my brother was a horseman, a gambler. Never really saw him get too high. I don't think I ever saw him get high. I think I may have seen him drink once or twice. Yeah, he did drink, but not maybe once or twice. But this was, all of this was there. Then, of course, we have the mental illnesses that, we say is mental illness, but for some reason I got along with all these people. And I still do out here. I get along with the people, the bangers that y'all say, one in your church. Let me tell you something. Just like with anybody else, we are looking to belong to something. Sometimes we make the wrong decisions. And it costs us. That banger ain't got no more issue than the guy that lives in a penthouse, a $3 million penthouse. The same issue. They want to belong to something greater than them. Now, whether they take it at one level or another, is still a sense of belonging. These are the people that didn't want in. A couple of prostitutes. There were a couple that were kind of interesting. They were still trying to hit on the brother. I don't know whether to feel, glad or what, but the people would come around. And one night, after one of these times, I went home and I laid down, and I woke up. And it looked like right in my bedroom. It looked like it was no vision. They looked like they were sitting in my bedroom. It was every type of person that was crying out for Jesus. And none of them had on a suit and tie. And I sat up and I thought about that. And I said, are we being the supermarket produce managers? Because in the supermarket, if the produce doesn't look pretty, they don't want it. taste the same. Sometimes it tastes better because that pretty produce is not necessarily ripe. It's going to ripen on the shelf, and So I said, "Am I doing this?" And I said, "Well, Lord, I need some clarity on this because it was bothering me." He wasn't the only one that I was dealing with. There were other people that would come to me, and I had one time I had a label put on me that I was dealing with the queer folk and everything else. Nah, I wasn't dealing with the queer folk. I was dealing with an individual who happened to be queer. That's the way I look at it. But what were we doing? Did we leave the church to talk to the people? There's an instance in, I believe it's the book of Matthew, when Jesus flipped the tables in the temple, and once he scourged everything and cleaned it out the temple. I found it interesting that young people and those who were disabled of a sort, they were able to come into the temple then. So could it be that our traditions and our activities keep everybody away from the temple of the Lord? Again, why didn't they come talk to us? It was just something. Why didn't they come talk to us? Well, later on, I penned a book, The Community of We. I went into fasting, a lot of prayer. And as I penned this book, it didn't take long. There were a few people that really influenced me. One was Mother Ethel Williams, whom her husband, Apostle Leon Williams, it was very instrumental in like tent revivals and things for a certain area of the state. And she's still going, still full of the Holy Ghost. The honor was to just sit and rest under her. Rest. Everybody wondered, well, you go there, you got to do this. Nah, the Lord showed me her to just sit there and listen and rest. One of the best times that I had. Did I understand it? Not at the time, because it wasn't what I was used to. But during that time, I had the time to finish this book, and part of it, as a matter of fact, I'm just reminiscing now, and all this is happening around 9/11. That it comes the community of we. And it said, "It is with honor and awe that I dedicate this book to Pastor Ethel Williams. She is continuing in the legacy of her husband, the late Apostle Leon Williams. I am blessed to see the result of being the community of we as a foundation to reach the lost." And the reason why I say that, and I was watching, they've always had something for the community. They were doing feeding programs. They've done, and some of it may be, tradition and all that we just gonna do, but either way they were reaching out into the community. I've seen other churches do it. For this to be such an older church and a smaller church, they were still functioning and still in a very should I say visible situation in that area, known. But yet God is switching us to, why didn't they come talk to us? So in the community I explain how we are to be part of the community. And my brother helped influence that book. One thing that I did, and I removed that one sentence out of the book, was that I remember in my draft, I had stated, I said, God will allow something to force us back into the community, and here's COVID. So now the 5th year, after 4 years and then COVID, and now this is the 5th year where we're seeing a turnaround of COVID, regardless of what anyone feels about whatever's out there. That's you. I'm not dealing with that. Now we have the community of we. We've been forced back into the community. Why? Even in like our own community, we're coming in contact with people that we normally would not have talked to for whatever reason. Even in my community, I'm seeing people, I'm finding out who's the busybodies. I'm finding out who will extend their hand to someone that's different than them and possibly went through some things, such as being a felon or whatever. How do you treat that person? This person's in your community now. Treat them like a member of the community. The pregnant mother, the pregnant single mother, are you helping her along? When you get to the gas station now, it's more people that are homeless. And I always kept in my mind the scripture that God said, whoever gives to the poor lends to the Lord. And I'm thinking, Lord, I'm going to lend you a whole bunch of money. So, I make it a habit of that. And people, oh, well, you don't know what they're going to do. You're right. I don't know whether they're going to do right or wrong. I don't. But the Lord said do this, and what they do is between them and God. This is the community of we. There has to be something in your Christian walk that causes you to go contrary to possibly the way you were raised. What is it? What is that thing that made you regroup and relook at the gospel? Mine was at the beginning of the AIDS. They said it was an epidemic at the time. And the way the churches came about that. Oh, well, they're of the devil because... No. I had to regroup with that one. And then later on, I had to regroup with my brother. He died by suicide. So many church people wanted to tell me that he was lost, and they had the theological acumen of cockroach, but they were going to argue. And I'm looking at them like, I'm going to walk away because what you're saying, number one, it's not biblical, and number two, it's not loving. So I left, and, with that, and then now I have him. This is the man that I asked him some things, and he wouldn't tell me all the way up to the day he died. He said, nope, you won't find out from me, but I'll see him in a few. And I was like, okay. And it had to do something with him avenging someone. So, he did go into, my niece called and said she had to put him into the hospital. They had to take him from there. She went up into the facility, and it was rough. So she had to send him over, and he was already down. And through something they've done, it caused his health to decline, and that was on his way out then. And I did go and see him. That was on Sunday. Yeah, it was Labor Day coming up. Went to see him. I walked in, and I have a title of doctor that's earned, but they didn't know what kind. So I walked in. We had this different last name. I said, excuse me, I'm here to see such and such. And they said, you are? And I said, I'm Dr. Such and Such. Oh, well, wait a minute. And boy, there was a lot of whispering, but something went on. My niece said that they squared it away, and I walked in. I said, let me see them baby brown eyes. Come on, man, show me them. He had a lot of teeth missing from the years of some things. I think they had taken his dentures and his bridge out or something. I said, let me see them baby brown eyes. And he just kind of blinked and showed me all four of his teeth. The nurse's aide. You ever want to know what's going on with a patient? The nurse may know something, but that nurse's aide gonna know everything. She came in and she told me, she said, this is the most he's responded since he got here Friday. She said, I see a glow in his eyes. And I said, I guess the Lord sent you here to watch over my brother. And she looked at me and she said, who are you? I said, what do you mean? She said, I was just praying that, saying, God, I know you sent me over on this ward for someone. This must be the person. She wasn't from the ward. Look at how God opens up. A couple of days later, my niece called and said he's taking a turn for the worse. Everyone come say goodbye. I almost went back, but I had said my goodbyes. That wasn't a goodbye, it was a see you later. In my father's house, there are many mansions, and he went to prepare a place. I was just jealous that he got to see the place before I did. My brother-in-law took his last breath. His children, some of his children, not all of them, you couldn't fit in there. Some of his children were around him, and they recited the 23rd Psalm. And as they got to, and I would dwell in the house of the Lord forever, he took his last breath. Man. Proverbs 16:33 pretty much tells you that there's no such thing as coincidence. So when there's no such thing as coincidence, that was it. That was my sign that he was going to dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So again, I'm asking you all to rethink your faith and your walk in life. You can't have love only with those who love you. You can't just be in one building and everyone outside is damned, but everyone inside is saved. It can't be. There are people in your community that are, I just don't know. I just don't know why we don't reach out to some. And we find out that some of them are good. I watched a movie the other night of someone that she just made friends with someone. It was a beautiful movie. I'm going to have to give an expose on that one time later, but it was a beautiful movie about love and about serving. We have to get out, people. We have to get out. We have to get into the community. When you have a chance, take a look at this. It's called The Community of We. It's not a large book. I'm beginning to write smaller works now that we can go through and go back through again constantly, more or less like a pocket book, not like a pocket book as we used to say. But let's come together and start getting back out into community. Then we won't have, the enemy won't be able to divide us by political party, by race or culture, by religion, by communities. We have to come together and become the community of we again. The community of we. We have to come together again. And then let's get it together so when the bridegroom sends his angels back to let us know he's there, not only are we going to be the 5 wise virgins, we're going to have oil, but we're going to be waiting for him to come because we're going to be the community of we. It's Dr. Prodigal. Give me some comments below. Where has your faith changed? Where has something challenged a belief that you've had? What turned you around? What turned you around? A special shout out to my cousins, the Paytons down in VA. You all really blessed me. Margaret, you blessed me. Howard, you blessed me too. So, I'm finding out so many new things about that side of the family, and it's wonderful. But let's turn into be the community of we. Let's see what we can do. Touching one another and loving our neighbor as ourselves. Dr. Prodigal. Talk to me later. Drop a couple of comments. God bless you.